Hi, welcome to Shelf Starters. Today we're here to celebrate because we finished the Norton Anthology, Volume 8, Middle Ages, which is kind of incredible. And I can't believe that only took a year. I think we've done very well. And I wanted to go back and quickly look at like all the things that we read so you can see physically how much it actually is. Yeah. So I've got the stacks of books. I got 2 stacks.
Stack 1.
And stack 2, oh my goodness. Try not to knock anything over as we go.
Yes, that's a lot.
So, a lot of reading. So I wanted to have a quick look back at it all and then, see what we thought, do some like kind of overview questions and things like that and just, have a bit of a chat. Yeah. So in no particular order, I might just run through them because these are just the order that I pulled them off the shelves.
Okay.
So we have John Gower, Confessio Amantis.
Yes.
And this is the one that I got in 2 editions because I originally bought the full one in this edition, which has like the non-edited, like original language and everything, but it has no notes, no introduction, nothing, and the text is tiny. So I ended up going with the translated version, which is frustrating as well because it's not fully translated. It's only got segments of it. So that was an interesting one. We have Robert Henryson with the poems.
Yes.
That were like based on the fables.
By Seamus Heaney. Yes.
Yeah. We have the Guide for Anchoresses.
Oh yes. How can we forget? Yeah. That was cool. Yep.
That was pretty cool. In a weird way. And then we did the Legend of Arthur's Return with different versions. We had Layamon's version, Wace's version, and we also had Geoffrey of Monmouth, but I don't have that copy here. You have it actually in Australia.
Yes.
Then we have Piers Plowman. Again, I have 2 copies because this one is in prose and this one's in verse.
Yes.
But this is the one that I thought was really good because it's the Norton version that has critical essays and things in the back as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I can't actually remember, maybe I'll have to look back, whether we actually read any extracts from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle or if it was just referenced.
I don't think
it might have been just referenced, so this might have just been an extra one. We had My Complaint and Other Poems.
Yes.
Funny one.
True to its
we had some of Chaucer's poetry, The Parliament of Fowls, as well as extracts from Troilus and Cressida.
Yes, that's right.
And then, of course, the Canterbury Tales.
Obviously the favourite.
Us. And then we had Beowulf. Not this edition.
No.
This is the Tolkien translation, but we did the Seamus Heaney one, which I actually preferred. It was a little bit more readable.
Really good. Yeah.
But this is interesting because it does have like his commentary on why he translated things. It's more of a uni text kind of thing.
Yeah, and Seamus Heaney makes everything nice for the
more easy to read. Like it's just it kind of flows better. Quick tea break.
Yes.
We had, you're telling if you remember this one, we had the Toyne.
Yeah, of course I remember that.
The Irish one, yeah. It feels like some of these are so long ago, you know?
Yeah.
We had the Gawain Poet. We had Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Yes, that's right. That one I remember really well because that was very visual, that one.
Yeah, it was. It was one of my favorites, I think.
Yeah.
We had Tristan and Iseult.
Yes.
We had the very first one was Cadman's Hymn, which is from Bede.
Yes.
All the way back then, so like just a couple of lines. We had Thomas Mallory, Mort d'Arthur.
Yep, of course. That was a more recent one.
Yeah. We had some random elegies and riddles and things, which were also in this anthology as well.
Yes.
And we had a York mystery play. We also had Everyman, which is a morality play, but isn't in any collection as far as I can find, like no easily accessible published version.
No, I've been talking about that just today with a student actually.
Really?
Yeah, he's doing a project on morality plays.
Interesting. I'm still waiting for an edition that would have that. But we had Marjorie Kemp.
Yes.
And last, we had Julian of Norwich.
That's right.
So a huge range over a year. So I guess I wanted to ask you, What was your favorite?
I don't think I can go past Chaucer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or, ripping good yarn, great array of different characters from different walks of life, humour, just everything gathered together into a good story, good storytelling. I'm not sure you can go past that in this collection.
Yeah.
So I obviously, I really only was familiar with The Wife of Bath's Tale, but I enjoyed reading more tales. That was really good.
And it was good because it was the one that we did in full as well. So we did the 4 different parts. So you got to actually spend more time with it too. Which is nice.
And that probably also helped. And imagining the actual pilgrimage itself, the journey itself, you in fact did. I enjoyed that. Probably that was my highlight, I think.
I think my favorite, Chaucer would have been up there.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was Beowulf, the Hindi version.
Yes, it was really good. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. I think it was the most like accessible, like best way to jump into the period, I think.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
And I had never read Beowulf before. And I imagine a lot of people are in that position where they know about Beowulf. Everybody does, but they haven't actually sat down.
And that's right.
And it wasn't hard. It was surprisingly not at all difficult to read.
Yeah, which actually leads into my next question, which is what was the most surprising one to you? In any way, like surprising good or surprising bad?
I think I found the Anchoress ones interesting, surprising so much as I just wasn't aware of that whole
or surprisingly
of it. So therefore there was a surprise element there. Gosh, I can't think of anything more else that surprised me. I mean, I guess the real surprise is how not relevant, but accessible, I suppose is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
The language was not so much of a barrier, as I had imagined it might be. It was all quite accessible, and it was all really, really visual, like rich, visually really, really rich. And I don't know that I expected that.
Yeah, same. I think the biggest surprise for me, like there's probably 2, but the biggest original one was Beowulf, because it was like, I think as a child, I always knew of Beowulf, but I always thought that you had to like read it in the original for some reason. I just thought that seems so hard, because I thought I'd have to like learn a full other language basically. And yeah, the Hindi translation is just so easy to read and so gripping as well. So yeah, that was the original big surprise that then kind of carried through the rest of them. Like you said, like the language actually wasn't bad, and it's actually Middle Ages actually much more accessible than you think. Yeah. And then the next big surprise for me was Marjorie Kemp.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, the female writing generally.
Exactly.
I mean, there's not an abundance of it, but what we saw, what we read, was surprisingly upfront, gutsy, really clean to read, I thought. And yes, I wouldn't have anticipated that.
And I think I look at this, and especially as saying like the stained glass window and stuff, and knowing it's about religion, I look at this and think it's going to be one of those really like earnest,
somber reads. Yes,
very, very pious. Like and it was hilarious. Like it's a really funny, interesting read, and it's way more accessible than that. It's much more like about a woman's life, and it is obviously about religion, but it's like it's not a big preachy thing.
No, not at all. I think that's right. That was a really good take, wasn't it?
Yeah, really interesting. And again, would never have picked it up, not in a million years, if we weren't doing this challenge. So
no way. No
pretty
way.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, what a bit of a different kind of question. What is your least favorite?
I'm not really a fan, or I wasn't really a fan of. I still didn't love the animal ones.
I
tried to go with open mind, but I still
can't really do it.
Does not speak to me.
I mean, I think they were. I think these ones, massive piles. Yeah, the Henryson
Yeah, not
ones. Yeah,
they're not my favorite thing. They're just not.
yeah. And I think the thing with the fables as well is like none of it's very new. Like, well, obviously it's not new.
It's
Not like,
none of it is a reveal for us.
it doesn't feel like it's bringing something new that we haven't seen before, because you kind of do already know about them from childhood and stuff. So yeah, I can understand that for sure. Yes, I'm trying to think about my least favorite. I definitely didn't have anywhere I was like, oh, I wish I wasn't reading this. Like, if we did have that, we wouldn't make ourselves do it, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of like one that I maybe found. I mean, actually, I think the probably if I had to go back, I'm not sure that I would have like gone through the entire Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, because it was interesting, but like, the parts of it were interesting. I don't think I needed to read it cover to cover.
Fair enough. Right?
As someone who's like not a historian, just like casually interested in history and how it impacts literature more than any other part of it. That probably wasn't so necessary. But on the other hand, I would say I'm really glad that I did read the full thing for the Anchoresses.
Yeah.
Because that was
great.
Also a complete surprise. Yeah. So maybe that would be my least favorite. Also I was frustrated with Gower, not because of Gower though, just because the translation is so incomplete. That felt like a bit of a rip-off, and like you'd get a paragraph at the beginning saying this story is not that interesting to me, so I haven't included it. And you're like, why? Why wouldn't you bother translating your work if you weren't actually going to do it properly? But anyway, so that was a little bit annoying, but it wasn't for Gower's, like it wasn't annoying because of Gower himself. So
no.
Yeah, that's not really his fault. It is so surprising though that hasn't been translated in full when he was like just as big as Chaucer at the time.
Yes, I know. It's, well, who knows? Politics, I suppose.
Yeah. And then if you were going to recommend any of them to someone who was just starting out with Middle Ages, like maybe not wanting to like necessarily read the Middle Ages, but if there was any that was like,
to get a taste of what Middle Ages is, well, obviously you would have to say Beowulf, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because you need them to have a grounding, so probably Beowulf. And I actually do think Chaucer again.
Yeah, I was going to say Canterbury Tales, yeah.
Yeah, you can't do medieval without, you can't do Middle Ages, without Chaucer.
Canterbury Tales. Yeah, I sort of think in history of literature anyway, like everyone should read the Canterbury Tales.
Yeah. I think so. And for most it does begin with that. For most people you do probably bypass Beowulf and go to Chaucer. Yeah. And I think there's a reason for that, which is the characterization and the walks of life and the humor.
Yeah. Oh, the humor for sure. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So many of these are more funny than I thought.
Way more funny.
Marjorie and Chaucer, obviously we knew, but like he was actually laugh out loud funny at parts. Who else? I mean, I laughed at the title of my complaint, but the actual poem was not really laughable. It was actually very deep.
Yeah.
But parts of a lot of them like had just like sort of one-liners that were really surprisingly funny.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's something I would not have expected as well.
And that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
It does make all the difference.
Especially if you feel like you're going to something that's quite like it requires a lot of attention. It may be accessible and things are like not overly dense, but it does require attention. And then to have like a moment of humor in there, it's really like makes it a lot more fun.
Very well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I have any other. Do you have any other questions? I'm not sure if I have any other like bits about.
No, I think it's the language is so interesting that it wasn't difficult. And so that's really encouraging. And I guess that's the message, is to encourage people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
don't be afraid of it, because it is made out to be a frightening thing, I think.
I think it definitely is. Yeah, like
by certain people who are, incredibly literary, and it's, a very niche area, and yet it isn't. It's about the bigness of life. It's about, aspects of life that we all have to face or enjoy. And there's no real reason for it to be treated as though it's this highbrow area. It isn't. it really isn't. So I think that's the takeout I got from reading this, doing the Norton Challenge, and I hope other people pick up on that.
Yeah, and I can't wait to do it all again with with the 16th and 17th centuries next, which is really exciting. Do you have any like works from that period that are you're most looking forward to?
So Marlowe.
Yeah.
Because I've not really read anything other than Faustus.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else we get in the Norton. That'd be interesting to see. We definitely get that.
I hope more than that, because
but even if we don't, we could also just read like another one of his plays or something.
He was quite
out.
Is my understanding. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Shakespeare is a given, right? But there are plays I've not read, and I've not read the poetry. That'll be good. I think you get almost all the sonnets in the Norton, so that's gonna be really not read those at all broadly, only very, very tiny snippets.
Yeah, a few of them.
Yes, a few of the most obvious and more famous ones. But so that'll be good to extend Shakespeare to. Yeah, I think it would be quite fun to do, like, because I know the Norton for Shakespeare has Othello and Twelfth Night, which I think you have read both of them. Yeah, I have. And the sonnets, but we could do like a third one that you haven't read. Yeah, it would be good to do. Like, why not? Yeah, I mean, I've actually, to be honest, and it's kind of embarrassing, I've seen it on stage, but I've not read A Winter's Tale. Oh, we could do A Winter's Tale, yeah. That's quite a good one. I'm saying this because I've been reading a lot of Shakespeare this year. I've been on the stage, and I know for some actors, it's described as their favourite play. Really? Yeah. But cool. I've never read it, so that would be fun. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, sounds good. Throw that in. Yeah. Yeah. I think in Marlowe will be good too. John Donne, that's gonna be an exciting one. Donne, I'm a monumental fan of, I have read quite a bit of Donne, but that doesn't preclude me from reading more. I'm really excited to also read ones like authors, poets, etc. that I haven't actually heard of before, because I just finished reading the Wolf Hall trilogy. Yeah. Which has so much reference to literature at the time, which is this time period that we're about to go into. It's the Tudors, it's Henry VIII. And it's so interesting. They reference so many, because the poets were coming to court and things, like they were actually part of like the Tudor life. And a lot of these poets did interact with these big figures from history, like Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII, etc. Like one of them, we won't spoil who, I guess, till we get to it, but one of them was like accused of having an affair with Anne Boleyn and sent to the Tower. Like, that is so interesting that that's one of the poets that we're getting in the Norton. Anyway. I guess it's a bit like a modern day celebrity. So much like a movie star or a very well-known actor or actress might associate with the royals. Yeah. Or singer. It's the same sort of thing. Instead, back then it was a poet. Yeah. So cool. Anyway, I can't wait for that. So that's all next year. But what are you going to read for the rest of this year then? Oh, well, we've got a bit of a break. A very fun Australian style holiday coming up. We're limited because, of course, there's not much travelling going on, but we're very much into the extended car trip and then the land on a beach. So that's what we're doing. And I've got a big stack, because the only thing to do is read. That's the best thing to do. So I've got loads. I've got this little skinny short story. It's Scott Fitzgerald, which I've never read. So I got the illustrated version of, which I think is lovely. That's the Diamond is as big as the Ritz. As big as the Ritz, yeah. So it was published in 1922 in a magazine. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that immensely. I'll talk about magazines in a moment. I've also got the edition to celebrate the 150 years of Little Women, which is the 2 parts, and it's got literary contextual essays and letters, a couple of letters from Louisa May Alcott. And I actually couldn't help myself and started dipping into that last night. But I will read the rest on the holiday. That's good. It feels like a very Christmassy read, Little Women. Yeah, that's what I thought. We're starting with Christmas. Then I've also got Jane Austen, because I haven't read Sanditon yet. So I've got her, because that's just obviously a good idea to like to up my reading on her, and because we're also going to be talking to the Australian PhD, who has published a book on Austen, who is, how old is she, Rosie? 80.
Oh, we don't want to get that wrong. I think she's something like the oldest woman in New South Wales or something to get a PhD in literature. So very impressive.
89, I think she is.
89.
So, anyway, that's inspired me to want to read Sanditon, because I would need to know as much Austen as possible before I read her book.
Yeah. There's so Sanditon's, well, that collection is, I think, 3 different unfinished works by Jane Austen, and one of them is about going on like a beach holiday, like one of those things. I think it might be. Yeah, I think it is that one. That's why it's got the umbrellas on the front.
Tourist destination, which, that's what Austen enjoyed doing, that, because if she wasn't in her own living room, then they were at a tourist destination,
walking around,
or somewhere. Then I've got this one I've never read. So Patrick White, really, really wonderful Australian author who wrote Tree of Man, and Voss is the one he won. I think he won, not a Nobel, do you mean a Nobel Prize for it? Maybe something massive. I can't remember what the prize was, and I've never read it. So it's very about connection with land, and there's it's Indigenous and European Australians, and sounds like a really good saga. So I'm going to get into that. Then that also led me to Benevolence, which is written almost in response to Kate Grenville, To the Secret River. So that's the story of a family who is sentenced to come, or a man and his wife who are sentenced to come and live in New South Wales in the middle of nowhere, in the bush. And so Kate Grenville wrote that story, and then in response to that, this is an Indigenous woman's version of a story, a response to that, because that's where she lives, on the Hawkesbury. So it's her country, and she writes her version of a story.
That sounds great.
So I'm really, really keen to read that. I'm really keen. So that's going to be good. And then I've got this kind of just a really easy read, which is pretty much when you're on the beach. Yeah, that'll be good with a family on the beach playing cricket and making noise and interrupting at all times. I think this will be easy to read.
Yeah, a good thriller. Yeah.
So it's set in a school, which I think. So I
don't actually remember what it's about at all. I pre-ordered it though, I think on my Kindle. And isn't that the author of Chocolat?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
is it?
Nowhere on the book does it say that, but I'll swear
they've got them wrong.
So you'd think. But anyway, it's in a school. It's a girls' school run by, a headmistress, and there's going to be intrigue.
That's always a good setting for a thriller.
Well, that's always great. So that's my little stack of books there. And what I do have on order, which I hope will arrive, is that one that you and I were talking about the other day, by the South African that just won the...
Oh, The Promise.
Yes.
Yeah. The Man Booker. Oh, the Booker. Sorry, I said Man Booker.
Yeah. So he won the Booker Prize, and I've ordered it, but it hasn't come in yet. But I think I'll add that to my stack.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I've got some magazines also, some literary magazines, which I've been getting the last couple of months. They've been coming in. I haven't had a chance to properly, or to read any of them. I mean, I've got the obvious, the New Yorkers. Are you up to this one or well past?
I stopped mine, so I was getting so many, and I haven't read any of them. But I've stopped it now, so yours might have kept going because I think you signed up later.
Yeah, but they come like thousands at a time. Yeah, they come all the time.
Yeah.
So
the shipping from the US, that's why. Yes. But yeah, I really want to read them too. I've got like a massive stack of literary magazines that I haven't started, and we want to do a video about them. So we will get to that hopefully soon.
Well, I think this would be a good time to have a go. And then I've got the Oxford American, which is really interesting to me. So it's kind of got it's like the Deep South.
Oh.
So, writing from the Deep South, which I've always been completely interested in.
Yeah.
Lots of weird, taboos going on there. So I thought that would be cool. And then the White Review is more, it's art, poetry, literature.
Yeah, some of the ones I've got are like a bit of everything. Yeah,
which I think that would be
beautiful. Look at that cover. Wow.
I know, and I love the cover. And also it's a meaty feel to it. Whereas the New Yorker is all skinny and
Yeah, because it's the New Yorker is every week.
yeah, and I don't love the thin paper.
Yeah.
Whereas
it's more like magazine, you know, like, well, it's like weekly.
Less than a magazine. Whereas this is like a proper hold it in your hands and properly read. So I think that will be good. And then I've got a couple of Australian ones. The Lifted Brow is published in Victoria, comes out of Victoria. So it's quite political as well, you know, so it's stories, short stories, quite political, but interesting. I'll have a look. And in Meanjin, which is an old, you know, tried and true, this is where people get their work published in Australia.
Okay.
So, you know, I think this will be really interesting. And I thought the cover was nice and interesting in this one too.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to actually reading, you know, getting into this, because I've always wanted to read Meanjin and never really have. You know,
that's the thing. Yeah, I wanted to try out a few different literary magazines and see like which ones I like. Which ones I might.
And once we do that, then we can do we might do some podcasts on magazines, literary magazines.
Yeah. I think so all of mine will be way out of date, but I think it doesn't really matter because they're just stories and stuff. Like
they're just people's
so I can't wait to do that as well. Yeah, I'm going to read A Christmas Carol. I haven't ordered it, but I am going to get it. I have obviously read it before, but I would like to. I actually didn't love it that much as a child.
No,
like
you didn't.
I don't know. But I think I will like it more now.
Yeah.
So
I'm
going to do that. And otherwise, though, I haven't really got a plan so much. Like I'm definitely going to bring my Kindle to Christmas. I'm going to France for Christmas, so there won't be anything to do except read really where I'm going. And I think, carrying stuff in suitcases is far too hard. So my Kindle is going to be the one for that. But I think mostly for me, because we're in cold weather here, it'll be anything that's got like a snowy kind of setting. I also really do like crime and stuff at Christmas time. So maybe some Agatha Christie and stuff, some thrillers. So we'll see. I'm reading the third book in the Wheel of Time right now. I started last night. Couldn't hold myself back. I was like, I might just wait, a few months, but no, I can't do that. So I've got the third one there. And then I think maybe some classics that also feels quite wintry to me, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Basically doing some mood reading, which hardly ever happens, and normally have like a bit more of a plan, but should be fun.
Yes. Well, see, I've got to plan because we've got a basic, a 10-hour car ride.
You've got books to bring with you.
And then we've got days and days, where we will just be dossing down and reading.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to do, we like to do an audio book in the car so that we can both. So we've been, it's been a lot of deliberating over that. I'm still not entirely sure what we're going to do, but we looked at Eleanor Oliphant is feeling fine, didn't we?
He's completely fine. Yeah.
Fine. And there was another one I was looking at as well. So we still haven't quite decided.
I think Eleanor Oliphant will be great. I think you'll like that.
It will work for us both, and I think that's
the
idea. We go in 2 days, so got to be organised.
Yeah, got to get it all together. That's exciting. Well, let us know what you're planning to read if you're having a break over the holiday period, and our people are doing holiday kind of themed reads. I kind of struggle with like actual, books set at Christmas and stuff like that. It's not really like, it always ends up being a little bit too cheesy for my taste, but really keen to hear if anyone has any like good recommendations or can let us know what they're into at the moment, because my list is wide open. I could be reading anything. We'll see. So maybe I could take
I wonder if anyone has got anything from other cultures, like hot would be interesting, Christmas stories from a hot landscape.
They're Australian, basically. Australian Christmas stories.
Ours always end in death and murder and destruction and fire.
I don't. There is something about Christmas that has something to do with murder. Like I don't know what it is, but like Christmas is always a good time to read a murder.
Yeah, it is.
And apparently, it used to be
a concentrated amount of time. As a rule, you have more time with less moving about, and I guess people's relationships are under strain generally because Christmas enhances any issues that were there.
So, hilarious. Yeah.
Why?
Sure.
I don't know. That's my theory.
Good theory. Yeah.
Isn't it
All
good?
right. Well, yeah, that's the end of the Norton series for this year, but we'll be back in January. We'll have some other things hopefully coming out in December, but no Nortons. We'll have a bit of a break and then come back hopefully January for 16th and 17th century.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic.
All right. Well, thanks for watching and see you again soon.
Happy reading. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.